And on one hand, I really love this concept of like small choices every day. We have a principle of consistency that's really important. We want to be consistent, but let's make sure that we're thinking abundantly and asking the question, how can I afford this? How can I be more productive? And there might be something that you do by scrimping and saving a little bit about money. You might miss out on an opportunity, or you might not be work productive, or you might be living in scarcity, trying to skimp all your money and just miss out on the growth aspect of life or through control. This is BetterWealth with Caleb Williams. Welcome back to another episode of the BetterWealth podcast. I'm here with right hand Dan, and we are breaking down concepts, quotes, and ideas from around the world to help you live a more intentional life. And I just also want to just say this, and I know sometimes we knock out these episodes, and I'm really grateful for this, but we are super grateful for you listening to this show. We're grateful for the feedback that we get, and we really do wake up every day wanting you to live a more intentional life. And we know if you get your money figured out, if you have clarity on that, if you can be efficient with your money, if you can be consistent in the right habits and use your money in a way that aligns with your values, you can truly live an intentional life and impact others. That's what we're all about. So you can check us out at betterwealth.com to check out what we have going on. And again, we are really committed to bringing you content and really rising the tide as it relates to the education and impact financially.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the Latte Effect, and it's coined a couple different ways: Latte Effect, Latte Factor, the Latte Method. There's a lot of different ways that people talk about it, but it's essentially this idea that if you cut out your daily latte, which a lot of people, and we'll name drop Starbucks, if you go buy a Starbucks, there's generally every morning there's a line of people getting the same drink, and they're spending, I don't know, $2.50, $3.50, $4.50, $5, whatever it may be, every single day. And it's this idea of, well, what if you cut that out? What if you made your coffee at home and saved let's just say $3, and you drank that coffee at home, and now you put that money to work? And that's always the caveat, is putting that money to work. And some of the other episodes we've talked about, even if you do that, most likely it's going to go somewhere else in some form of spending.
Right.
But Vanguard actually did a study, and they took $3.50 a day for 30 years at a 6% return would yield $106,000. And so the whole idea is that that's a sizable amount of money.
It's funny. Vanguard did a study. That's a simple time value of money calculation, but they did like an article where they showed, okay, I was like, all right.
They were referenced as a study.
All right, yeah. And time value of money.
Time value of money, so $106,000. Well, so that's where a lot of the stuff, the math is correct. We can't argue with that. But it goes back to, we talk about ROR as return on result.
Correct.
And I use this example for a lot of people that call in and they're saying, well, I'm scrimping and saving and I'm doing everything I can, and that's great. But it comes down to what is the result of that? And so for us, we actually have example of Starbucks, where last year, almost every morning we went to the same Starbucks. Yeah. And we just started cranking out work. It was the environment. You really thrive in those environments.
I really do. I'm really struggling during this Corona thing because I love the atmosphere of like people. I'm very much extroverted. That's not even a debate. And so I love being in an environment, even if I'm like working on a presentation or writing or just thinking through, I love being in an environment that other people are in. And so I can make the argument, just like you're saying, I can do a whole lot more by being in an atmosphere. And then if you reposition the question, paying $3.50 to have 2 hours of production, I mean, what's the value of not having a productive hour versus having a productive hour?
Right.
Now, again, and I want to be known as the person that's just not like one-sided. So in this study, the time value of money calculation of taking $3.50 every single day over 30 years, earning 6%, okay, it would be a little over 100,000, 106,000, which is a lot of money. Which again, if you take a step back, and there's David Bach is probably the most well-known person, that he actually wrote a book called I think it's the Latte Effect, and just pretty much off this idea of like, don't like this, all the stuff adds up, and what's like the average retirement account balance that someone has at the end of
at
end of
age
retirement.
65, $113,000.
And I'm not sure exactly how we got that number, but it is. We did find it on Google. It's this, and again, I think the average might be slightly higher, but there is a stat that's like pretty much less than $200,000.
That's for sure.
It doesn't even matter if like we're a little bit off. Can you imagine like the end of your life really having nothing to show for it? So in this example, $100,000 is a lot of money, and the kind of people that they're sending it to have no money. So they're pretty much saying, you have no money. Why don't you stop spending money on dumb stuff and start saving it? We all know that they're not going to save it.
Right.
But assuming that they are, then I also want to have a critical conversation. It's $100,000, which in the grand scheme of things is not going to change your life dramatically. And so in on one hand, I really love this concept of like small choices every day. We have a principle of consistency that's really important. We want to be consistent. But let's make sure that we're thinking abundantly and asking the question, how can I afford this? How can I be more productive? And there might be something that you do by scrimping and saving a little bit about money. You might miss out on an opportunity, or you might not be work productive, or you might be living in scarcity, trying to skimp all your money and just miss out on the growth aspect of life or through control.
Well, and I think the whole mindset of this is sound, and it just goes back to there's so many intangibles that go into it. And this story of us at Starbucks, the things that it goes back to return on result. Well, we became regulars, essentially. Yeah. The baristas knew our order when we walked in. It was all the same people. That was what was fascinating to me, is you go to the Starbucks and it's the same people every single morning, the same cars going through the drive-through. But what's interesting here is you never know who you're going to meet during that as well.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And so, yeah, it may cost us $7 a day or whatever it may be, but especially in the type of work that we're in, someone you sit next to, or the person that sits next to you, I actually had an experience where somebody sat in my spot.
That's a big deal for Dan. Like, you can't sit in a spot.
And I just jokingly said, hey, you're sitting in my spot. And I made a joke that these are all the same people and that you guys clearly are not part of the regulars. And I just sparked a conversation with them, and they're awesome people who real estate investors. And, it was just it was a great conversation. And that's something too, is there's so many intangibles of, let's just say, instead of coffee, let's say when you come home from work, a long day of work, you have a thing of ice cream, let's just say.
Right.
And that thing of ice cream costs you $3.50. Well, if you're more relaxed and you're going to be a better father, better spouse, whatever it may be.
Live a more unhealthy life.
Well, yeah, maybe ice cream is a bad example, but if you're, it goes back to, you can't calculate the rate of return on that.
Right, and that goes back to get clear on results. I also, I think the call to action here is, I'm not saying have the latte or not have the latte. I'm more just saying, just don't read a headline or read a book and just commit to that being your strategy. Really reverse engineer your decisions into the life that you want to live. And so we would love to hear from you. What things should you be cutting out? What things that, when you understand that $100,000 over 30 years is quite a bit of money on something that you might not value, that's important to know. So what things are you cutting out, or what things that are you not cutting out and that you can justify because of the results, because of the feeling, because of the emotions that it gives you? My email is caleb@betterwealth.com. You can reach Dan@betterwealth.com. We love hearing from you. We also love getting topics, talking and bragging about our community and the people that I'm just so proud of. We are really creating an intentional group, and it is so fun to hear success stories almost every day.
Yep. And
it just fires me up, and that's why we get up every day wanting to serve you. Thank you so much for listening to the BetterWealth podcast. It would mean the world to me if you could hit subscribe, leave a review, and share this with the people that you know and love.